edition of Hello Neighbor. I popped on briefly on Instagram just to let people know that I'm doing this here now. So let's just give people a moment to hop on. It is that time of day where most of you are asleep, but well, this is the time I had to do it, so that's what we're doing. So yeah, let's just start with a little bit of debriefing, so to speak. Yesterday was the first monthly meditation meetup for the Tier 23 group. It went phenomenally well, and I will be doing more diluted versions of that for the general public, just because Tier 3 is also an energetic training in and of itself. If you can handle my work several times a month, yes, you have the chops to survive this energy. But effectively, what we did was we did a live direct transmission of working with the new energies of new occult law. We had a very in-depth discussion about it, and over time, as is when spirit guides me to, I will be, sharing that with the general public. There's also the question of readiness. Honestly, I don't know why Spirit decided to go and ask me to do a Hello Neighbor today, but you know what I'm like. It happens, I show up, and stuff happens, which tends to be the way things happen. So I guess I wanted to just acknowledge a few things. I know that reality is getting weirder. I know that, and I also know why what the astrology is doing, why is it doing, how is it doing, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, no matter what situation you are facing in your life, and it doesn't matter what situation it is, it can be financial, it can be spiritual, metaphysical, it can be emotional, whatever it is, there are several things that will always get you through a situation, or at least make you cope better. Sometimes the outcome is really just not in your hands, and that's fine because we can't control everything. But what you can do is you can navigate it better, so that whatever that situation is, whatever it means for you and the unfolding of your spirituality and growth, that can be best aligned with the energies of the now. One of the first things that I would say people really need to come back to, and I say this often, but I say it often because it's so important. We need to come back to a space of faith. I was trying to write like a manuscript on it the other day. I probably need to take it up again. But effectively, faith is not about what people call blind faith. Very often, people justify bad choices by saying, but I'm just going to trust blindly, see what happens. And more often than not, they kind of go, oh God, why did I ever do this? But coming from a place of faith that is aligned, that is not about being in denial, that is not about closing your eyes to red flags, that is not about surrendering your power to somebody else and not taking responsibility. Well, this is the kind of energy that, oh, hang on, before we continue. Vivi says that it's buffering. Can everyone see me? Can everyone hear me? Just give me a little bit of feedback. Can everyone see me and hear me before I continue on the subject? Okay, very good. So VB, it might just be you. So awesome, awesome. Okay, good, good, good. We get a lot of confirmations. So as I was saying, the first thing that we need to remember, and no matter what the situation you're facing is faith. And faith is something which is very sacred, very pure, very, very personal, but at the same time, the word gets so overused. Even when you are absolutely sitting with your heart wide open to the universe, wide open to spirit, you still need to come from a place of discernment. You still need to come from a place of groundedness. You still need to come from a place of, even if you believe what you want to believe, you might not have control over what actually happens. That's where the faith is needed. You do the best you can. You align in the clearest way possible, and you allow the outcome to unfold as per the highest and deepest good of all. The faith comes in not trying to control that outcome. It doesn't mean that you stop trying. It doesn't mean that you say, I can't do anything. I'm going to send thoughts and prayers. Everything will work out by itself. That's not exactly faith. That's spiritual laziness. So when you come from a place of integrated faith, it has to have several key prerequisites. First of all, you must understand what is it that you actually want help with. Sometimes people think they're praying for one thing, but really what they want is the resolution of something deeper. If, let's say, they're praying for a situation with a friend to resolve itself, nothing like that has happened, knock wood, it's not going to happen. But let's say they're praying for a situation with a friend to resolve itself, and they keep focusing so much on that situation, and because they haven't looked inside, maybe they don't realize that what they're actually praying for is a resolution of an old trauma or an old pattern between them and this person. So, the more you actually do that work of discernment first, understand what it is that you actually want in the first place, the clearer your prayers will be, the clearer your intention will be, the clearer your field will be. You have to take the time to actually sit with what it is that you actually want. It's like money. A lot of people think that they can pray for money and get it. If that worked for everybody, we wouldn't be having the 1%. It would be a lot larger than that. But even when it comes to something like praying for money, you have to understand that there is something deeper than the outward manifestation of money. Usually, that means someone wants to feel like they have more control over their life, or they want to feel like they can keep their loved ones safe, or they want to feel like they don't have to worry about food. Look at the core drive behind whatever you think you're praying for, and use that core drive, use that core, whether it's insecurity, whether it's impulse, whether it's desire, whatever it is. Focus on what it is at its essence, and you will actually find greater alignment. When you wrap things up in external events, you'll lose sight of the lesson that's actually there. So that's point number one. Point number two, because people feel very helpless in this day and age, they will go to any damn thing that comes with spiritual light shows. There's so many people I meet that go, and I'll be asking them, why did you do this? And they'll be totally, effed up after a long time of walking on a certain road. Oh no, one of my guides told me it was okay. I'm like, really? I had a dream. Somebody told me to do that. I'm like, so if a random person on the street tells you to go and do something, dressed up as whatever, you're going to believe them. And they go, no. And I go, well, that's exactly it. When we're looking for guidance, whether even if it's in our spiritual practice with things that call themselves guides, with things that call themselves gods, you have to be very careful of illusion, because that is part and parcel of the reality that we are currently living in right now. And unfortunately, people have been conditioned to see the fulfillment of spiritual goals in a certain way. So, and there are lots of things in this universe that look at these human thought forms and are able to mimic them. So, um, we Stormfelt, which is laughing at the R roll on the random person. Happens sometimes. So basically, this is the kind of energy where, you have to be a lot more discerning with what advice you take. For me, and as someone in this field, you can imagine how many false guides I've had, how many idiot ancestors have tried to get in my way. And this is true for anyone, especially of my ethnicity, doing the work I do. There are very few of us who actually do it because that ancestral influence is so toxic. Some people get away with actually having nice ancestors, some don't. But whether it's false guides, whether it's distorted energies of something that used to be considered divine in the past, these are things that I've had to face. And I've had to look at them and go, yeah, idiots, get out of my way and stay out. I can tell you that my life has been a lot better since then. But because people are not taught this, they are not taught that they can actually speak back to whoever they've pedestalized as a guide, guru, guardian, whatever. They just go, oh, I heard something. Yes, I saw this in a dream. It must be true. Yes, they told me this. It must be true. And I'm thinking to myself, where in the heck is your discernment? So when you put it in a very simple context, like if a guy on the street told you something, you're just going to follow it. Then they kind of sit and think, no. So I'm like, so why did you? And it is often because these messages are quoted in the kinds of illusions and glamours that make a person's ego feel so good. Because how many people want to say, this God came to me and told me to do this? I'm like, okay. And it makes them feel special. And they like feeling special. And then they go on some route somewhere. And then a couple of years down the line, they're like, maybe that wasn't the right path. So if you get something that's really putting on the pizzazz and the charm and all that kind of stuff on you to try and get you to do something, take a step back. I was writing about this recently in Tier 23, and I love this analogy that came to my mind. How many of you have watched Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade? So do you remember in that movie, Indiana Jones basically has to meet this old knight, and then he has to choose. He has to choose wisely. He has to choose which goblet is basically the Holy Grail. And there are goblets that are very shiny, and then there's one that's very plain looking. And often on the spiritual journey, it is almost never the shiny goblet. Almost never. Spirit does not need to put on a light show. Spirit does not need to convince you by conforming to the human thought form design of whatever they've put on top of it. Spirit is something that is formless, that is eternal, that is something that is as palpable but as subtle as a gentle breeze, especially when you work with the teachings of the feminine. But that too got distorted over time. That's a different story. So, when you actually sit with spirit in this way and you are no longer wanting or expecting yourself to see this golden spectacle of light coming through, that's when you're actually going to be open to finding something that is glamour free. Because, yeah, that is something that I see a lot of speakers do over and over and over again. It doesn't need the drama. There's enough intensity and drama in daily life. You don't need that as part of your spiritual practice. So, that is point number two. Mokti says that gut check should get more thumbs up. Thank you, Mokti. So that's point number one. Point one is faith. Point two is discernment. Point three is grounding. Now, grounding is very much something that you can do, yes, psychically, you can do through meditations, but it's also something that's very physical and practical. There is nothing more grounding than cleaning your house. And as my brother will tell you, there is nothing more grounding than cleaning cat poop or baby poop, whichever poop that you clean. These are the types of things that actually bring you back into the present moment. You don't need to put a big narrative on it. You don't need to put a big spin on it. Just live life. Be in your body. Do human things. Have a garden. Go and sweep your house. Go and eat food that's different. Try different things. Have experiences that keep you in your body because that's why you came here. If you didn't want to be in this body for some reason, you wouldn't have come. So you might as well connect back with it. And of course, one of the best methods of grounding is sitting in nature. But nature can sometimes be holding that energy of turmoil as well. So not all patches of nature are equally viable for that. But if you can, go to a place where you feel comforted by the nature around you and just go sit down for a bit. And that will help you ground. So that's the third point. So you need all of these different, maybe I should make this into a web seminar. I don't know. We'll see. Or you need all of these different steps to even come to a place where you can safely open up and say, all right, spirit, I'm going to let you do your thing. I've done the best I can. I'm going to let you do your thing. And whatever the heck happens, help me face it. That's when the experience of faith becomes so much more meaningful. And, even if things don't go your way, or if they do go in your way, you will be able to meet it from that aligned place. So there are all of these prerequisites, step by step, bit by bit. Very often people talk about faith and surrender as the same thing. Surrender is a part of it, but you do not surrender yourself, your essential self. You may surrender your ego, absolutely. You may surrender your desire to control an outcome, absolutely. You may surrender your fixation on a particular goal. Okay, fine. But you do not actually, you do not actually need to let go of that spark within. Because so often people just don't know what to do with themselves. They either want to connect with something or do something or feel connected to something else to the point that they let go of that fundamental boundary within, and other stuff starts to sit in the psyche. That's something you never need to do, even with spirit, because, honey, all of us came from spirit. That spark of consciousness within is something that spirit doesn't need back. That's like your direct connection to it. You never actually need to give that up. When people say surrender, they mean surrender the ego. That's why the language is so slippery, the language is so important. So, faith and surrender are things that absolutely need to come in a way that, there are steps to it. There are absolute steps to it. There are prerequisites to it. They don't just happen overnight. So that's, I think, the biggest message that I wanted to share with people today, because I feel that's the message that we all need right now. And no matter what circumstance of life you are in, whether you are basically just trying to figure out how to do basic things in life, or whether you are under severe oppression, these steps will help you. And these are very, very important steps to take for anyone at any level on the path. Doesn't matter if you just started your conscious journey yesterday, doesn't matter if you're doing this for 40 years. Always come back to the basics. This, your heart, is possibly the most important key spiritual, if you want to call it tool, you can, interface, can. Just this is the most powerful aspect of your journey. You don't need anything beyond a clean and clear connection within, because that is the connection that is without, that is mirrored. Whether you want to call it to the heavens or to the earth, it all starts from here. So that's just what I wanted to share. Let's open the hello neighbor for let me do the hellos, since we are part of we're doing hello neighbor today. So let me do the hellos. Hello VB, hello Dawn and the kitties, hello Francis, hello Dusana, hello Norma, hello Megna. Megna is a dear friend of mine. And hello V Stompelt Witch, hello Uma. Let's see, who else do we have here? Jackie, hello Dora, hello One Unity, hello Isby, hello Suzanne, good to see you. Hello Mokti, hello the Dab King. I've second guessed a lot of my gifts because they felt too normal. That's an excellent reason to second guess. Let's see. Okay. Hello Jay Moo, hello Bramjot, hello Queen Luna, hello Midas. Good to see all of you. Does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask whilst I am here and up and currently doing this? Any questions? I am opening the floor for any questions, anything that you might want me to talk about today, since we're doing Hello Neighbors. So just opening the space, in the sense, just waiting. Okay, someone's got to tell me, what's grand rising? What does that mean? I don't get it. I know what intellectually I know what it means, but what does it mean? What is grand rising? Like, what is exactly supposed to rise here? I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Hello, James. Hello, Tanya. Vivi says hello back. How's your health, Vivi? I hope you're feeling better. Okay. Oh, very good. Very good. Dawn Edward says, thanks for such great wisdom. I can't wait to watch this video again to take this all in and use it for my highest good. Very good. And that's actually a good point to talk about. Oh, hello, Lisa. Nice to see you. Okay. See, a lot of people, they are afraid of, they are afraid of basically developing a very personal relationship with spirit, simply because on the one hand we've been disconnected, and on another hand we've been shamed for being selfish. And this is the thing, when you are actually aligning with something that is in your highest good, by we storm felt, which is making me laugh, but I'll talk about that in a second. When you align with your highest good, you automatically align in a way that aligns with everyone around you. Because the highest good of an individual cannot exist independently of the highest good of a collective, when that highest good is defined and moved through by a divine force. So, when if you're talking about your personal good, yeah, then it's when you get the logic of accumulation, capitalism, the 1%, whatnot, whatnot. But when you're talking about your highest and deepest good, that is actually something that creates a field of expansion and possibilities for everybody else as well. So, in that sense, if you can, in your prayers, one of the things that I would also recommend adding is for your highest and deepest good and the highest and deepest good of all. When you say that, you actually create a field that allows your progress to elevate whoever, whatever else you come into contact with, and vice versa. It won't just be one sided. So that's just a small little point I wanted to mention. V. Stormfeld, which is Darius' first house, aside from becoming a hitman, what do I even do with this? Okay. So, Darius in the first house. What happens there is that you got to look at where in your personal psyche, in your personal energy, is that back door. Where is that back door of fear located in your own psyche? That's what you need to look at. Okay, Banshee says hello from Oregon. Hello. Vivi says, ooh, gastric acidity. I see. Okay. Access to dogs. Okay. Question, Vivi. I mean, I know where you live, and I know you have access to yogurt. Try that first and see if that helps. Sometimes probiotics might actually be a better means of approaching this. And I know where you live has some really good source of fresh live yogurt. So try that. I know it's a very simple fix, but that can help if you haven't tried that already. Um, Dusana says, do you have any thoughts on climate justice? Sorry, not able to brain a good question. Melting here. Oh dear. Okay. V Stumfelt, which says licorice for stomach acid. Vivi says, yes, I'm taking probiotics as well. Good. Okay, Tusana, climate justice. I would say that's a tough one. That is a tough one. There are people who are really fighting for the right reasons, especially indigenous people wanting their land back that, they've lost and so on and so forth. And as you know, and I will take a very strong stance on this if anyone calls that girl a robot. I'm a huge fan of Greta Thunberg and all of the young activists who are really standing up for the planet. But from a spiritualist perspective, I view the fact that we have a planet as a mercy and as a gracious gesture by Gaia. I think at the end of the day, from a spiritualist perspective, listen to Gaia. She will tell you what you need to do from a spiritualist perspective. Okay, so Dabi has asked me several questions. Do I listen to MIA? I know her, not personally. I have listened to her before, but my taste is a bit different. Tyanga says, peace, peace. Jemu says, looking good today. Thank you. I honestly don't think I look great today, but I appreciate the commentary. Let's see. Dabi wants to know what you know about the Mexicans, brown Mexicans. This is a big question. And it's a very big question. How do I even answer that? Suzanne says pickle juice and chia seed help your GERD substantially. Okay, pickle juice. Is it sour? Yeah, those are I mean, it might not be the greatest political answer, but a lot of the time I find that, and we just need to connect back to true source, and that provides us the answers we need, which I know is a one size fits all answer, but honestly that is probably the only one size fits all answer I would ever give. Okay, good. People are giving suggestions for you, VB. It's a good crowd. It's a good crowd. Over years. Hey. We got Watchman. Hello. Watchman is a very nice friend of mine from Australia. He's a very nice dog. He's basically like a brother. Okay. Oh, Dora asks, can you talk a bit about discernment versus unhealthy skepticism, cynicism? Very nice question. Very nice question, Dora. Okay. Mm, 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 mm. I think maybe I should write this down. Anyway, I think that the biggest difference between unhealthy skepticism versus healthy discernment is the place that it's coming from. Like, I mean, I see this all the time. I got a Virgo moon, man. I have to deal with this shit all the time. Sometimes when I see something that provokes a past trauma in me, and it's a unhealed trauma or unprocessed trauma, I start to nitpick at it, but from my expectations of what has been before. And so I know that's unhealthy because it's basically like picking at a wound and going, is it here? Is it here? Is it here? All right. But when I'm coming, and that's when I'm just Bairavee doing my thing every day. But obviously, when I'm in tune and being the Sky Priestess, when I have to discern through something, there is never that emotional uncertainty, insecurity, or trigger. It just comes from a place of, hmm, what's going on? There's no emotion to it. There is no expectation to find something or another thing. I think to me, that's the difference. It's the intention behind the question. Sometimes people ask questions to try and protect themselves from something they don't want to hear. That ain't discernment anymore. That's unhealthy skepticism. Okay, let's see. All right, what else we got? Chaitra says, hi, hi. Lisa says, how do you balance your ego when your sun squares the midheaven in transit? Ask yourself what is bigger than your ego and go and do it. Mokti says, any advice for remaining in the flow of gratitude? I keep falling off the horse. Hmm. So when you keep falling off the horse, does that mean that you're no longer in the flow of gratitude or you feel ungrateful? Like, give me an example of how you feel when you feel like you've fallen off. Kat says, hi, hugs. Hi, 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 hi. Um, okay, Queen Luna says, a lot of people dread the morning, so saying rising is a way of acknowledging ourselves. Awakening fresh and starting anew. It creates a positive flow for the day. Okay, that actually makes sense. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I've learned something. John Philip Stevenson has asked, vaccination question mark. I mean, to me, to me, the vaccine that I'm most interested in, if I have to take it for travel purposes and so on, is the traditional vaccine. So the ones that don't have the mRNA technology, simply because I'm a hypersensitive. I can't take a lot of like normal over the counter shit. So, if I had to take it, I would go for the traditional ones that don't have any of the fancy new tech, which I don't feel has been properly tested. So, Sinovac and whatnot. Um, Darby says, you're a badass Sky Priestess. I'm weird, okay? Weird is fine. Most people who like me tend to be weird. Bramjot says, can I get my natal chart made? Yeah, sure. You can go to www.astro.com and look it up. Let's see. Dora says, thank you. It goes to the heart of attending to emotional triggers before being able to see clearly. Precisely and well put. That's pretty much, what we always need to do to begin with. Because when we're not clear on the inside, even if we have psychic sight and ability, it's like it gets tainted. Your emotions are a very important filter or lens. So if your emotional state is not clear, no matter how gifted you are, you're going to get the message wrong. Or at the very least, you're going to be sent on a couple of loops before you find the right message. Let's see. Jessica Stevens, Neptune retrograde. Neptune retrograde. I like Neptune retrograde. I've always liked Neptune retrograde. It's probably one of my favorite retrogrades. But then again, I like retrogrades. I am totally weird. I've never like I think the only retrogrades I really don't like are Mars and Venus retrograde. I like Mercury retrograde because I like Neptune retrograde. I like Saturn retrograde. I think Uranus retrograde also has lessons, but Neptune retrograde is the kind of energy which I like even more because it forces a lot of people's blindfolds off. So, personally, that's why I like it. Jaimu asks, do you like the crystal azurite? I think we have talked about this before. I think we have talked about this before. Uh, mm, 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 mm. I don't think I have azurite, but yeah, I think you and I have talked about this before. But it does seem lovely. Mokti says, seeing things as happening to me versus for my good, letting it get me upset before getting all the information, aka taking it personally. Right. Okay. So basically, I think it's a little bit, what's the word? It's not irrational. What's the word? Unreasonable. I think it's a little bit unreasonable to expect yourself to always be in the flow of gratitude, because well, at least from the conscious perspective, we are never always doing anything, maybe except breathing and the millions of processes that the body is involved in. But even that, there are periods of ebb and flow and whatnot. So, trying to be in the flow of gratitude is not something that you have to do all of the time. And V. Stomfeld, which says nothing in nature blooms all year. Exactly. Unless it's an evergreen, but that doesn't really bloom, if I'm not mistaken. Gardeners, feel free to correct me if I'm mistaken on that point. But effectively, I think, Mokti, the thing is when you feel like you are being cut out of the flow of gratitude, pull back. Pull back, don't force it, wait till you actually get the picture. And just, that's one of the biggest things in my journey that I have learned, it is to wait. No matter what I think, and that Virgo moon can come up with all kinds of interpretations. But even if I just wait for a day or two, I basically go, okay. And then I realize all of that emotion that I would have spent previously on that immediate reaction was just wasted. So, and I am not someone who believes in wasting my time. So basically, just allow yourself to pull backwards, wait till you get the picture, and then decide what you want to be grateful for. You don't have to have that as an on switch all of the time. One Unity will ask, do you believe in the ideas of twin flames, said but the shared spirit soul? Tough question. I have found that there are beings like that, but they don't need to be romanticized. Sometimes, and because people really want that happily ever after Disney Hallmark narrative, they've kind of corrupted that concept a little bit. I mean, in the universe, there are literally souls that have started from one person, opened up, and become another person. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they have that type of relationship. So they exist, but not in the way people talk about. Banshee says, "Oh man, me too, Virgo moon." Yeah. Let's see. Darby says, "Do you like or know anything about the Incas, Aztec, and Mayans?" To some extent, though I would not claim to be an expert in this life. Let's see. Suzanne says, "Big time realignment, long held beliefs about self and prosperity shaking loose." Very good. Mosgarian says, "Hello, Dr. B. It's great to catch you live. Thank you." Uh, okay. Here we go. Good. Okay. Dustana says, "Rhododendron is a flowering evergreen, not a conifer, though." Thank you. I have been corrected. Let's see. Meghna says, "I have a super small gratitude pay rise. If it helps every day in the morning, as soon as I wake up, before I open my eyes, I think of one thing I'm grateful for. Small, big, anything. Pay rise. Practice." How did your phone correct that to pay rise? But yes, that is a good idea. As soon as you wake up, be grateful for something. Also a good way to also dispel some of the stuff you've been building up in your sleep. Mokti says that's like, okay, she's referring to a comment she's reading. That's like when she learned that common sense is uncommon. Very true. Very, very true. Very, very true. Anyway, I think I'm going to wrap this up. Oh, Jamu wants to know, what is the astrological forecast for the next 2 weeks or so? That I will cover in a different video. I just want this to be more for people catching up and doing community stuff. If you go to the start of the video where I talk about faith and love and whatnot, that's something which I've basically mentioned that to help people work through the energies of the next 2 weeks. So I'll be doing that in a different video, and I just want this to be a hangout space. Okay, Debbie asks, what do you think is the most underrated aspect in your chart in terms of self-understanding besides sun, moon, and rising? Ascendant. Okay, eternal youth. Eternal youth, okay. Good morning, doctor. Hope you're good. I don't know my birth time. Can I still get my various charts accurately? Depending on who you work with and depending on how in tune they are, yes, you can. Also, I have a traumatic past. How do I start working towards healings? Depends on your trauma, honey. This is not something I can answer on YouTube Live. BB says, Dr. B, anything to watch out for in terms of breaking relationships and maybe positives at work? I remember your chart. I have a good memory for these things. It's a good time for you to be clearing out what is no longer relevant. Basically, even if you have to end or cut certain relationships, always phrase it in terms of what you need without making it about the other person. Because when you start going, but you didn't do this and you didn't do that, blah, 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 that becomes an ego fest. When you want to go, you want to go. You basically just say, this is what I needed and I have to go to X, Y, Z or find it. That would help for you specifically. Queen Luna says, grateful for this time. Thank you, everyone. Excellent, excellent. So I send all of you much love. I send all of you very many blessings. And I hope, Debbie says, you're a genius, Dr. B. Oh, thank you. Queen Luna says, Dr. B, are you able to create our charts without accurate birth time? Yes, but that would have to be a separate session in itself because I'll be asking you all kinds of questions. All kinds of questions to check and double check and double check and double check. I do the best I can. Hang on. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Okay. I don't know what you're talking about, Lisa. I don't know what the Dark Horse podcast on medical stuff is. A bit more information would be good. Okay. So yeah, I would say that should be a wrap. It's nicely raining outside, which is good. Raining is nice, rating is good. And yes, sessions are still ongoing. Book a session if you need some assistance at this time. I will be coming back online with stuff on the astrology of things. But the most important thing is already what I said in this video. Be honest with yourself, keep your faith, keep your love, keep your heart open, and keep going. That's about it. Okay, we Stormfell Witches tell the kitties we said hi. They're very good, when they like what I'm doing and they feel it's very calming, they just sleep. So it's a good idea. So, okay, everyone. Ciao, ciao for now. Bye bye.